Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. I hope you guys are having a good day, and I hope you guys are excited about the launch of this Rootstock Educate. We've got some really exciting workshops planned for you guys in the next coming weeks, starting off today. But before we get into that, I just have a couple of housekeeping bits to go through. So I've been sending you guys all the emails. My name is Adriana. It's great to finally meet you guys, I guess, via Livestorm. For those of you that don't know, we are Encode Club, a global community of developers, talented students, and professionals in emerging tech. We run educational programs like this one to help you advance your careers and work with transformative companies like Rootstock. So we do a number of different programs, hackathons, accelerators, boot camps, and also educates. We also help with recruitment into Web3 roles, and our community is over 500,000 strong, which is really exciting. Speaking of community, we do have a general code of conduct, which we expect you guys to adhere to. Please do treat everyone with respect and courtesy. That includes your fellow participants, the Encode team, and any sponsors and partners you interact with. We also have a zero tolerance for harassment, bullying, or any inappropriate action. And the consequences for this is as you can see, is disqualification and removal from the community. Please let's create a positive and supportive experience for everyone. So, this Educate will have 6 workshops in total, starting from today. Oh, the date on that is wrong. It is the 27th, because this has obviously been rescheduled. But from tomorrow, all the dates should be the same. We've got today the introduction to Rootstock Bitcoin Layer 2 Why and How by Eomji, Eomji Park. And then tomorrow we'll have Olia from Rootstock come and give you guys a little bit more technical deep dive into Rootstock. And then we've got some really exciting partner workshops with ThirdWeb, The Graph, NVO, and Alchemy. And as you can see there, our final workshop will be on Thursday, the 12th of December. So just another little thing, please do scan these QR codes, join the Discord and select the Rootstock Educate role. I'll be posting all the workshop recordings and any reminders to join via that. I'll also be sending emails out, but the Discord is a lot quicker for you guys to gain access to all those resources. And if you scan the QR code on the right there, you can find out more about upcoming programs at Encode. So that is all from me today. Without further ado, I will invite Eomji up on stage, who will be giving today's workshop, which is really exciting, and kicking off this Educate. So she should be coming very soon. And I will stop sharing my screen.
Hello.
Okay, hey.
Let me share my screen. Ooh, everyone, can you see?
Yes, amazing.
Cool. So, hello everyone. I'm Eomji from Encode Club. As many of you, if you have been following our different education series, perhaps you have met me in different like boot camps, like hackathon, or even at DevCon, where Rootstock team has joined us as a bounty partner. So some of you were already building on Rootstock, and that was like a fun event. I can see that like a lot of people coming along. So guess what? Today we are going to talk about like what is Rootstock, and I'm sure that a lot of you perhaps have experience on like a Bitcoin or Ethereum, different like blockchain ecosystem, and also a lot of you are pretty new to the ecosystem. That maybe you saw all these tickers or like names as some newspaper mentioning about, but not necessarily in depth or like what it could be. So today we're going to discuss a little bit about what's Bitcoin and what limitation it has, and why we are coming up with different types of solutions. And now it comes to Rootstock and what's coming after. And after my workshop, there are going to be like amazing workshops like coming along, as Adriana introduced, which is going to involve like some of the a little bit practical workshop that you can see and follow, testing their tools to build on Rootstock. So let's get started. First, what is Bitcoin? Of course, I can imagine half of the audience is going to be like, oh my God, I know Bitcoin so well. And half of the audience is going to be like, okay, I know, but maybe I didn't, really went through it. So like, let me a little bit go through briefly. So before we dive into general concept, the high level, Bitcoin is the first and most well-known cryptocurrency launched in 2009 by an anonymous entity known as Satoshi Nakamoto. It's often referred as a digital gold, even though like some people may call it digital money. There's a bit of debate. Some of you may say like a digital gold, digital money, what is the difference? But in financial terms, there's a bit of difference that if something can be used as the actual currency, money, or it stores the value, but it did not be used as the main unit of the currency. So Bitcoin is considered as a digital gold as it combines the feature of money with a limited supply. It stores the value, while those Bitcoin is like different from what we usually have as a digital money, what we see like, because a lot of money we have now is already digitalized that we don't really use the cash anymore, but you may just transact something through app and so on. So the difference is Bitcoin operates on decentralized network. There's no central authority or intermediary like a bank controlling it. So either like there's no like a central party issuing it, or like a limit like it's how to say that, like how much it's getting minted or not, or like what transaction fee can it be, who is handling those. There's no such authority or intermediary deciding such. And instead of that, these transactions are verified, recorded by thousands of nodes, like computers around the world, on blockchain, which is immutable ledger on all transactions. So we can see that like all transactions coming there, which is like, let's say, watched by like thousands of computers around the world. And then there's no like a authority who can stop that as individual, but rather it's following the certain rules as written. So code is law. Bitcoin was created to address the flow of the traditional finance, so such as like centralized, like a censored and inflationary finance system. So it allows the secure P2P transactions globally, while it has some limitations. As I just said, Bitcoin was created, so meant to be just replacing the trade finance, while there's a lot of other blockchain ecosystem you may have encountered and like tried out are not meant that way. So you see the like a clear difference in the beginning that Bitcoin was just for finance system, and there's like a generation 2, second generation or third generation blockchain platforms, which is more considered as like platforms for app and building something on top of it. So what's happening after that? So while Bitcoin is like revolutionary and like it changes a lot of like people's life or the way of like thinking the finance system, of course it has some limitation. As the first cryptocurrency, it was designed to solve the very specific problem, so that it's lacking certain features which you may think, why not it doesn't have it. Please like by the way, like be mindful that it's not necessarily it's inferior things to inferior thing. It's rather like sometimes like decision making on certain design, what feature to have or not. So it's quite interesting to think about like how all crypto or like blockchain network has evolved over time. So Bitcoin is a great digital money, digital gold, but it's lacking some ability in terms of lack of programmability. So we cannot build app directly on top of it. It's quite like complicated. So it's not really meant to be such cases, that it's rather like mainly used for the payments. And then it's also quite slow. It processes like 7 transactions per second, which you can see that the comparison to the Ethereum, which is way slower, but it's not even like Ethereum. Like if you want to reach the level of Visa, especially when we meant to replace this with a trade finance, the TPS is like a huge gap we have at the moment. And that's the reason why a lot of different solution has been explored to get over that scalability issue. So as network get congested, then you can also imagine the transaction fee get expensive as well. So the main reason we don't want to have authority is, of course, we don't want like suddenly someone said all the money you have at home or in your bank account is not usable. We don't want that. We don't want intermediary there, like we don't want to pay commission or someone has control over my assets and wallet that you put your money to the bank and you may believe that it's your money, but imagine that if something happened and that bank refused to withdraw money to you, it's not yours. So like those kind of like censorship and then like the problem of like having intermediary getting expensive, introduce this new network. But after network get congested, we start to have like a high fees, which is like, that doesn't really make sense. If I need to make bank transactions and if I need to pay $20 each time, like who would use that? So there's a lot of like different questions come around when a lot of people start to use. So this limitation highlights that we need to think about how to scale this network so that like everyone can use. And then also, if you want to have new features that we want to program something on top of it and make this overall decentralized structure more useful. And that makes us exploring different directions, different solutions. That other, like perhaps other blockchain name comes to your mind is the result of that, such as we have been building like different L2, you know, some alternative like L2s. You heard about many like art coming from like alternative, or like a without like a layer 2 enhancement, or side chain, state channels. There's a lot of different way we have been working on, and Rootstock is one of the solution which is expanding the Bitcoin's functionality and also scalability in terms of like a general like a improvement. So this is the overall structure. Like we can just map it in our head. So like Bitcoin is there. So why Bitcoin limitation is significant, we cannot like deny that Bitcoin inspired like everyone to create like a new types of like decentralized network to either accommodate our financial system or something more. And those various solutions are like a in a high level, we can say that like other L2 or like some layer 2 solutions and sidechain. And obviously I made layer 2 on top Bitcoin because we're going to cover Rootstock today, but you can imagine other L2 have a layer 2 as well. So new L1 blockchain is like of course like Ethereum or like Solana, you know, like this like a second generation, third generation blockchain. And the difference is like it's using like different like a consensus mechanism or different like architecture, plus most of like a new L1s are accommodating like smart contract or programmability since the beginning. So in the early Bitcoin community, when people were talking about like, oh, why not we leverage this like decentralized network to make some more complicated transaction happening? And there was people who said that no, like we want to stay in Bitcoin. And there are people who said that like, yes, let's do that. What they did was like they came out and they were building other L1s, and that was even the beginning of the Ethereum, like Polkadot, like you may heard about different L1s. And then like after that, continuously a lot of different researchers come. So everyone is designing different consensus model to see that how they can serve the blockchain trilemma, which we were not going to detail today. And then like what is sidechain? So sidechain are independent blockchain with their own consensus mechanism. So that okay, the main difference between layer 2 and sidechain is layer 2 is more per se like a dependent on L1 security, while like a sidechain can have its own security. But the way it's called sidechain, not like an independent L1, is because it's usually like tagging with the like a one L1, so that it try to allows like it's leveraging certain like liquidity or certain functionality of the L1. So we will go into a little bit like in more detail later on, but Rootstock is like a technically sidechain, which has the functionality of L2, which means that it has actually its own consensus mechanism and it can be even kind of independent. So like a Rootstock is like an interesting example that it's EVM compatible and providing L2-ish like functionality, while it has its own like consensus and independent from the base layer, while leveraging the benefit of the Bitcoin. And so you can consider it's something like a parallel solution, not really L2, while a lot of like confusion is happening. So you may see like some people say like a sidechain is part of L2. I think that's like too much of the broad like interpretation, but quite a difference is like if it's independent from L1 security or if it's relying on L1 security. And layer 2 is so that, as you can imagine, it's relying on L1 security. So like state channels, okay, perhaps you heard a lot about those like names, like, you know, Lightning Network or like all the rollups. If you're familiar with the Ethereum ecosystem, you saw a lot of rollups are popular, ZK rollups, optimistic rollups. So layer 2 solutions are the one operating on top of like those L1s security. So it's mainly either like a focusing on scalability, like speed, functionality wise, that try to building something app specific. So they try to optimize all the logic and so on, that it can serve a specific purpose. So while like it's relying on L1, maybe you want to make something more like finance specific, game specific, so that you can a little bit tune your chain. And of course, like the main reason is you want to make it scalable, so you don't need to pay like a high gas fee or like a transaction fee to L1. So state channels are mainly to make transactions off chain, so that like you can get rid of the congestion from L1 a little bit, while settling initials and final states on L1 chain. So it reduces the general congestion, make it like things cheaper, but it's aimed for that like light purpose. So having just like different channels for states. While like roll-ups, you heard a lot is like often you can consider that like it's rolling a lot of transactions in batch and creating a proof. So that a lot of like transactions are aggregated off chain, but submit to like base chain to prove that if this is like valid or not. In Ethereum, like you see a lot of like optimistic rollups and ZK rollups, like using different proving system. As state channel would do, it inherit the security of the L1 and it reduces the transactions. While of course, like depending on what kind of approving system you're using, it gets slower, more expensive. There's a different trade-offs. So that's something like an interesting discussion going on. And then like of course there's a lot of different like slightly different like L2 solutions that in general, if you see that some solution is sharing the L1 security, you can consider that as L2. Otherwise it's some other solutions. So L2 is mainly focusing on increasing the scalability by processing transactions off chain or in parallel, or like reducing the transaction cost, because there's no congestion means that you will pay like less network fee. And of course, it enables different functionality. It's either adding functionality. In Bitcoin case, L2s are introducing smart contract programmability, or like it's like focusing on a specific app, so that it's much easier to build on top of it. So if there's someone who is building a protocol just for the gaming, then they perhaps can set up their contracts and everything in such a way that you can build much easier those apps. So there's a perhaps pros and cons. Building general purpose protocol and app specific one. As you can imagine, app specific one might be easier per se, because you need to make a shoes which is fitting for like 1 foot instead of like 100 feet. But at the same time, if you are like making a protocol, perhaps like many people's goal is like, how do I make a general purpose, like good, robust technical system that some people can build on top of the platform? So you can see that like those debates and different level of customization across the ecosystem. So like let's think as Bitcoin as a secure foundation, the rock solid base layer with a lot of like liquidity there, working as a like supporting the security of the chain. And layer 2 solutions are preserving Bitcoin's like security while trying to adding some functionality and scalability, and that's what Rootstock is working for. Yes, Rootstock is a layer 2. So technically, Rootstock is sidechain with a layer 2 functionality. Yeah, exactly. So again, like what is sidechain, what is layer 2 is like something we are like defining by terms, right? So if you say that it's just like purely about sharing the security or not, like Rootstock is sidechain. But if you said that like L2 is like adding the like this kind of smart contract functionality and leveraging the L1 and doing some other things, also Rootstock is like L2. So that's like a little bit the confusing part. But at the same time, I think unless there are going to be some exam that you need to mark that if it's a sidechain or L2, it's not most important, but there's a really nuanced interpretation. So Rootstock is, as said, interesting case. It's a sidechain with the characteristic of the L2, because it bridges Bitcoin security with a functionality. So somehow with the enhanced functionality, so the classification is like a little bit like nuanced. And then like a sidechain, just to recap why Rootstock is sidechain. Rootstock has an independent blockchain. So it operates as a separate blockchain connected to Bitcoin via two-way pack, which we're going to also go over slightly more in next slide. This means that Bitcoin can be moved to the Rootstock chain as a RBTC. It's like literally bridging them and back to Bitcoin's main chain. So as a sidechain, Rootstock does not inherit Bitcoin's consensus mechanism. It has its own consensus mechanism, and it's not directly rely on blockchain validation there. And then those like a own consensus mechanism, like while having own consensus mechanism, so Rootstock use merge mining, which allows the Bitcoin miners going to be secure to secure the Rootstock network and Bitcoin at the same time. Simultaneously, they're doing it while mining the Bitcoin. So this provides the security, but does not make Rootstock fully dependent on Bitcoin for its consensus. And those miners are creating the blocks on Bitcoin network every 10 minutes, including transfer like Bitcoin, you know, and like creating the new coin and so on. Why like they're like syncing with the like a Rootstock like block like much more often, because you need to follow all the transaction made for smart contracts. I am trying to also like follow. Okay, I will try to speak slowly, and also I am seeing some questions, but as it's keep coming up, I may sometimes miss, but please they're like remind me. But yes, exactly. Like Matthias was like adding comments there, like as like it has enhanced the functionality, so it's like L2, while it's has a like a separate consensus. It's so like if you go to Rootstock documentation, also you're gonna see that Rootstock is the first and like a first like sidechain of the Bitcoin. It's a sidechain, but it has an L2 functionality, so a little bit difficult to answer there. And I can see Ricardo from Rootstock is there, so that I'm sure that some of the questions gonna be answered by Ricardo as well. So very excited. So while like without going too much like debate on if it's sidechain or L2, like it can be both. And obviously Rootstock is like providing such. Also, so as like Matthias also mentioned that the reason it's layer 2 is like because like it goes through merge mining. So security is like independent but somewhat ties to Bitcoin. And it's not only focusing on scalability, but focusing on functionality, adding like smart contract programmability to Bitcoin, and then like providing those interoperability and so on is like a typical characteristic of L2, so that it's somewhat like a sidechain with an L2 characteristic. And I don't think it's how to say that, like a hard like borderline there. We said it's not L2 or not. It's rather like a yes, it's a sidechain and L2 at the same time in current definition. So while it operates a separate blockchain, it also like focus on like enhancing the functionality, and it has own consensus mechanism, while it's obviously providing EVM compatibility so that you can utilize all the knowledge you have as a Solidity developer. That's the interesting part. Now, like smart contracts on Bitcoin, like what is this, you know? So Bitcoin was like meant to be replacing the traditional finance in the beginning, as it's like a core concept. So it has some like a limitation there. There like a lot of smart people were thinking like, why not like using this decentralized like, blockchain rails to make some more complicated things happening. And that's the concept of the smart contract coming, that it's self-executing agreements with a predefined rules. So you just like imagine that you make some rules with your friend to betting on something, but instead of someone come and need to enforce you to keep that rule, the code gonna be automatically executing the transactions. It can be perhaps like some financial assets moving between you, or like something else. Let's say like I maybe make a bet with a Ricardo that like oh okay, next day if it's rainy, maybe my Twitter gonna be like posting like a funny picture because I think it's sunny. We make it a smart contract, we give the access to our account to smart contract, then smart contract gonna be executing. So it's not like we need to wait for intermediary paying commission and let them orchestrate our bids. So smart contract is like not just about like money, but in rather like a lot of like different bets can be through the smart contracts. So like a crowdfunding campaign that funds automatically refunded if goal isn't met, or insurance claim payouts when flight delay is verified, so that you already like, you know, sign in with your signature, and if something doesn't happen, like all your funds get refunded automatically. Or like if you're like a saying, like let's say if you are supporting some football club, and if they go to like a XYZ league, like automatically maybe you're gonna celebrate something and like releasing certain things, you can all make it on smart contract with the different parties. And those usually need some triggering events, which is like deadline, like weather conditions, or in terms of some signal to the contract, right? And that's something like, hey, if you're already building something, you may learn like different like types of data you can handle. You will learn also about the Oracle, that there's a lot of different Web2 data, how they come on chain, and then you can read those data and use them as a trigger. And those contracts are self-execute as written. So of course, like if there's a certain vulnerability, it can have like very systematic problem. So that auditing is very important, and people are trying to leverage the ecosystem, which has a lot of toolkit. In this case, like Rootstock helps you to use the EVM, which Solidity has been one of the most used smart contract language, so that it has like some debuggers or like a lot of auditors who are aware of that language, helps you to build more like secure system, as this is like, how to say that, like a code is low, and then all the things going to be executed as per written. So we want to make sure that it's well designed. And why on Bitcoin? So you may ask, like, we already have like different L1s, like let's be honest, like there's Ethereum, there's Solana. Why we need to build smart contract on Bitcoin? Very simple answer. Like Bitcoin is the like first cryptocurrency blockchain network available like at scale. And then a lot of people who were thinking about this decentralized finance system are in Bitcoin ecosystem, Bitcoin community with the extra asset. So leveraging the Bitcoin security, because people having more asset and invested, means that we're going to have a robust, I am remembering that I need to speak slowly, robust security in the ecosystem. And then also, so that we can enhance like Bitcoin's utility, that there's like a huge asset lying there, perhaps doing nothing, maybe we can utilize them better to create like different apps. And then like those liquidity can somehow, you know, like utilized better within the broader technical system around the world, not just like Bitcoin, not just Rootstock, but overall, like once when we start to have like apps that like normal users coming in and so on, having a robust ecosystem is really important. And having Bitcoin is like a most like owned like asset by like a, you know, worldwide ecosystem. It means that like a, you know, it's rather like a more like a secure and decentralized ecosystem, which has a proven track record. But of course, there's a big challenge to build something on Bitcoin. A Bitcoin scripting language called Script is secure but limited. So there like lacks of programmability, make it very complicated to build something on top of Bitcoin directly. And you cannot like support like those like interesting use cases which decentralized like a system unlocked on Bitcoin. It's either impossible or very difficult way. So that there's a lot of different people who were thinking, either they were creating something completely new, or people were thinking, how can you leverage the Bitcoin? And here comes the Rootstock. So Rootstock is solving this problem in multiple ways. One is like enabling smart contract with the EVM compatibility. For those who doesn't know EVM, it means that Ethereum virtual machine. So Bitcoin scripting language is too limited, so that also, if it's a limited and not so many people use, it means that it cannot create a complex logic and building smart contract. And so that like there's no such tool you can support. So RVM, Rootstock Virtual Machine, is fully compatible with EVM, which means that developers can deploy Ethereum smart contract, which means that you already tested like a product market fit. Maybe you see that people are interested in on Bitcoin with a minimal adjustment. Plus, you have all the tools available, which is still growing ecosystem. And then, wow, someone was like reading Rootstock white paper back then. Ricardo might be very, very happy. And then introducing RBTC for integration is like, of course, like Bitcoin cannot natively like interact with the smart contracts. So they're like a Rootstock is like providing the solution, which is Bitcoin pack token that you can utilize that. Leveraging the merge mining for security. So while it has own consensus, like a Rootstock use merge mining, allowing Bitcoin miners to secure both Bitcoin and Rootstock networks simultaneously without additional energy, which is very important. So they're like a Rootstock inherits Bitcoin security while it has a certain level of independency. So that's really interesting, like sidechain, but else. And then of course, like those like a bridging Bitcoin, is like via like a POW pack, which I'm sure I think next workshop earlier going to be going more into detail, I think, merge mining and PowerPack, I believe. So like this like a two-way pack that locks Bitcoin on Bitcoin's network and release like RBTC and Rootstock. So pack in and pack out process. You can also see in documentation how it works. And I believe there's an amazing workshop where they has made once. And then this is, of course, like now allow the unlocking the liquidity in the Bitcoin. There's a different use cases like such as DeFi, NFT, gaming, dApps, using that rich ecosystem and preserving the Bitcoin core strength at the same time. So they're like it's not like we are just making out of like something completely different, but rather leveraging the Bitcoin security. So Bitcoin is helping the smart contract. At the same time, smart contract is expanding Bitcoin's use case to helping back. Some may think that like a why use case is important. It's really important. You know, like when Bitcoin become meaning something to the world is like that silly episode everyone knows that someone bought Bitcoin with the pizza, right? Why that's meaningful? Because it means that someone acknowledged the value of the Bitcoin, even though that was like a so huge amount of Bitcoin now when we think about to buy a piece of pizza. But that is important, such as like having the use cases of protocol going to be giving us more robust ecosystem, that how this can be utilized to create a value in our life in general, improving, enhancing certain things, so make our life easier. Cool. Yes. So this is the core component of the Rootstock. I can see that some questions going and Ricardo is answering, which is great. In any case, I'm going through this like quite high level because we have a limited time to go through bits, and also we're going to have amazing workshops like following up. But yes, so Rootstock is Bitcoin sidechain layer 2 solution with the EVM compatibility, and while it's enhancing Bitcoin's functionality without compromising security, you might be still wondering what kind of things available there. So as mentioned, Rootstock Virtual Machine is there, which is the core smart contract platform. So it enables the execution of smart contracts across all full nodes in the network, and it processes inter-contract messages, create monetary transactions, and update contract persistent memory states. So EVM compatibility means that, as we said, like you can still use like all the toolkits and Solidity, and even bring the Ethereum smart contract very easily to Rootstock and using it. Of course, like a while you can use without any modification. If you're a developer looking at some new opportunities in Rootstock ecosystem and Bitcoin ecosystem beyond, I strongly recommend that. Of course, you can bring like a EVM app to Bitcoin, but try to think about what's the difference between different ecosystem and how can you tweak to make something more interesting. And of course, like currently RVM operates through interpretation. However, like a future upgrade is like coming soon, which means that it can emulate the EVM by dynamically retargeting opcodes to the subset of the Java like bytecode. So all this detail, I'm sure that like also our engineers coming soon going to be introducing more detail. But what you can remember that is like a by time with improvement, it will be much easier to work with, especially if you're advanced EVM developer. You can expect that RVM going to provide all those advanced lucky features in coming days, in coming months. And merged mining is, as we said, like it means that Bitcoin miners can merge. Bitcoin miners can work on Bitcoin and Rootstock at the same time. So Bitcoin miners create blocks on the Bitcoin network every 10 minutes, which include Bitcoin like regular transactions, while in the process of they create new Bitcoins. On Rootstock, blocks are created every 30 seconds to secure execution of the smart contracts. So as you can imagine, it's supporting smart contract with the scalability. So if you need to make a block every 10 minutes, of course, we cannot support all the amazing app on Rootstock. So there's like a 30 seconds, you know, like it can be done while it does not make any new coin in the process, but does unreward from the merge mining. And then you can see that like, you know, every 10 minutes. So they're like you are leveraging still like a Bitcoin network while having a much enhanced functionality through that. And PowerPack, someone was asking question, and I think Ricardo was answering as well. So it's like a two-way pack system connecting the Bitcoin Rootstock network. Pack in means the user send BTC to special address on the Bitcoin network. So the BTC going to be locked, and equivalent amounts can be released in user's address on Rootstock. So I don't know what Ricardo actually answered, but I would say it's like bridge, but like a it has a like a its own like architecture and system. So you may want to check out like how PowerPack is exactly working in this case. And RBTC is the Rootstock's native token, packed 101 with Bitcoin. So like as that process, you will have that RBTC that you can use. So convert BTC into RBTC through this like PowerPack, and then you can utilize them within the ecosystem. And another thing I think interesting to know is Rootstock infrastructure framework. It's a sort of the infrastructure tools, which is interesting if you are continuously like, building something. This framework going to be helping to, how to say that, like simplifying that development process. So that like those like identity features or like storage or payments, then like if you're building some dApp utilizing like certain identity, then like you want to check it out, this framework. And of course, all these kind of things are moving pieces. So you will have also a chance to ask like to Rootstock engineers directly later on, but this kind of thing gonna help you to build something further meaningful, and then you want to check that out more in detail. So overall, Rootstock is a unique hybrid solution combining the best of Bitcoin and Ethereum. That unlike some of like old like not necessarily it's inferior. I want to be very careful. It doesn't sound like one is like a worse or better, but it's more of the decision making on what feature you'd like to have. But let's say Lightning Network is highly optimized for fast, low cost micropayments, but you will not build some app on top of it. But if you want to build some app and having some scalability, like Rootstock provides that like you have a smart contract, so you can build a decentralized application, providing DeFi, NFTs, gaming. You want to try like all different smart contract, what it can do, right? It has a scalable, much more scalable like platform than Bitcoin, while leveraging its security. Compared to Ethereum L2, like Optimistic or like a ZK rollups, Rootstock's difference is of course like a leveraging the Bitcoin security. It's like arguable, but like it's arguable like which one is like easier, better, or like everyone can have a different preference. But what we cannot argue is like a Bitcoin is the like a largest, like heaviest like asset with like a huge community. Either they agree on building something on smart contract or not. So now like it's interesting to leverage that level of security and building something more, and also see like that OG who were believing in replacing the trade finance system with Bitcoin gotta be interested in building other types of the application if they can build something on top of it without actually harming the Bitcoin itself. So while we can keep Bitcoin as it is, still we can leverage that and having like an interesting apps utilizing the Bitcoin ecosystem. So by combining Bitcoin's like a value strength, like of like store of value strength and the security, where Ethereum's programmability, Rootstock is providing the hybrid ecosystem that like you can use utilize like that thick ecosystem with a bit easier way to develop something on top of it. And this is a great chance because if you already have like an interest in like blockchain, there's a huge chance that you are already exposed to Solidity, or if you're a JavaScript developer, Solidity is like a relatively easier to learn, and then you can easily build something on top of blockchain to check out if this platform going to be helping you or enhancing your app's functionality. So in a nutshell, the benefits of the opportunity within the Rootstock and Bitcoin ecosystem is like for developer, of course, like Rootstock providing EVM capability, giving secure, scalable platform with an easy toolkit that you can build all the like interesting application without sacrificing your time, and then you can utilize all those like a preferred like let's say RIF, identity storage payment solutions. For business, like you want to leverage like Rootstock for your financial application. Those RIF is not only for developers. You can imagine those are preset, which means that you can make certain app and try to make business on top of it in a long term much easier, and you will get support. And in terms of like a community, I'm just like seeing the chat. It's like it keeps stacking up. Yeah, and then like for the community, having a if you are joining the like a huge ecosystem, it's gonna be very interesting dynamics for next months and a year, I think, because given that initial OG Bitcoin, people were keeping Bitcoin without programmability on purpose. Now they're a little bit opening up and curious about utilizing Bitcoin differently, while people who are focusing on like a different like a L1, L2 solutions are interested into utilizing Bitcoin's like security and all the liquidity there. While someone who is completely new to blockchain, still Bitcoin is something they heard about most, while like they for that now, like smart contract Bitcoin is not a weird thing. For them, it's a natural thing as they join now, right? So those like ecosystem dynamic can be very interesting, and you are in very important timing to leverage that opportunity and build something together with us. So that's pretty much it about the ecosystem related stuff. And I will not go into more technical detail, as next workshop is literally going technical deep dive of the Rootstock. But in general, what I want to say is like, we need to like think about what we want to do while learning new thing. And I hope that like your goal here is try to build something and have fun and find some meaning out of that. So we explored about like a potential of the Bitcoin that beyond the trade finance, what kind of like how to say that, like applications it can bring to our life. And then like what challenges Bitcoin faces in terms of like scalability or like a programmability. It might be like challenge to someone. It may not be challenge to someone if they want Bitcoin like not being programmable, but like we can see that like a different technical decision coming. If you want to like building a technical ecosystem, like a upwards, then like there are going to be a lot of like questions, like what kind of direction we want to take. And Rootstock is like interesting case that while keeping Bitcoin as Bitcoin, we can add in some functionality on top of it and utilize that. And Rootstock is like now providing different opportunity to build with like hackers. So like just a few weeks ago, we were at DEF CON. So there's a hackathon people can build. If I'm not mistaken, there's a lot of different supports coming after this Educate series that you're going to have an opportunity to try things out. So please like stay tuned if you're a developer. Also, please explore the documentation before next workshop, as there are going to be some technical deep dive coming. So if you're interested in a specific concept, they're going to be a perfect opportunity to have a chat. And if you are leveraging its infrastructure for your operation and then like creating a startup afterwards, then like please stay tuned. We have like a bunch of like hackathons, Bitcoin hackathons and accelerator coming up throughout the year. So there are going to be different opportunity that you will get proper support and building your team and try to make this as a product to market. So overall, that's pretty much it from my side. And I was trying to speaking slow, but I know I speak really fast. I hope that it wasn't too fast. So thank you for all joining the session. I know there's a bit of questions, and I think a lot of those were answered by Ricardo. If there's any other, like, please remind me. And I'm really excited to see that all the chat has been very, very like active.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Eomji, for that really informative and fantastic workshop, giving you guys an introduction into Rootstock. Thank you guys as well for being so active and asking lots of questions in the group chat. Thank you, Ricardo, as well. Like Eomji said, you know, you've got lots of opportunities to kind of build upon this workshop and lots of exciting things coming up. Our second workshop is tomorrow with Olia from Rootstock, and that will be a bit more of a technical deep dive. So I hope you guys are excited for that. I will be sending out email reminders and Discord reminders tomorrow for that, as well as editing and uploading this workshop recording. I hope you guys are very excited for this Educate, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day. Thank you, Eomji, again. Bye, everyone. Bye.